Recording is on.
So hello everyone, this is Bitcoin Design Guide Jam session number 42, February 6th. As usual, we'll go through the latest milestones and everything that everyone's been working on. We are currently uh, pulling up this milestone here in my background. I'm going to make myself a little bit smaller. We have a handful of issues open here. I also prepared a Google Doc for note taking that I'll share here real quick. Anyone with a link can edit, so feel free to mess it up. It is not precious. Oh. So feel free to hop in there and type anything. Do you just want to start at the top and go down the milestone, or is there anything that you really want to talk about? Anyone wants to go first? Or I don't really have a ton. My personal stuff. I did a bunch of updates to the guide, but that was just around this Noster profile and social media page, which is a bit tricky to figure out. But that was my website work and a bug fix. But how about you? Stains, we merged your no, you and Daniel, you worked on this update, right? So that's merged. That was cool
Yeah.
to see. The pin work here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome. Were there any follow-ups,
Yeah.
or is that pretty much wrapped up for now?
Yeah.
Or in total.
I think we can expand on that. So there's probably a couple of things we can do. One of them being expanding on the different scenarios. Like I think we might have spoken about it before. Scenarios in which you might lose any of the keys. So we could potentially do that. I also spoke to Bosch O.
Doc Sharp,
or Doc Sharp
aka
about the wallet, savings wallet, and potentially expanding on the top bullet points that he had in one of the issues. Let me find that. So this, I want to just have a look at that. He's keen to pick that up again. But yeah, I guess the main thing from our side is to maybe expand on the different scenarios for now. So I'm referring to this one.
Address. Oh, yeah, okay, that's the one. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in there. It's very overwhelming. So that could be a pretty big multi-month, multi-people project as a whole. But you don't really want to take something on like that at a time. You want to split it into many smaller pieces. But doing that would be really cool. I think the savings wallet is a really good complementary to the daily spending. It covers all on-chain stuff. It covers multi-sig stuff. Which is super relevant because it's savings. It could also be potentially going to the inheritance stuff, which Nunchuk I guess they're also going to do an inheritance project. There were several people interested in inheritance keepers out there. So there's some really good stuff to get into there. But it's also just a bigger chunk where some planning might be and discussion and how to break it down might be helpful.
Yeah, how do you normally tackle big projects like this besides, breaking it down? Like what process do you follow? Like how do you gather the right people? Or is it, I'm not sure.
I mean, at first you kind of have to assume that it's going to be a mess for a while. That's just totally normal. Things will be in a state of flux with a daily spending wallet. For a while I don't know, several months we had a disclaimer at the front that this section is being reworked, so that some stuff's still changing. That's totally normal. You don't have to. It's just not possible to get it all perfect. And then I would just try to go through and try to put it in a few different categories. For example, you just want to do revise the onboarding? Do you want to just do visual revisions? Do you want to do like which aspect of this wallet needs to be changed? Like you can take all of this list of changes and split it up into which parts does it affect and how roughly, right? And then you will notice that some things are very easy to update and other things will require bigger changes. And from there you can then go in and prioritize. And I'm sure some things might be very timely, like there are a lot of people having discussions about them, so those would be good to address first. And other things would be kind of nice to have, and then just kind of very ruthlessly prioritize through them and just kind of just go at it and make things happen. But yeah, it's I think it's very hard to generalize these things, but that's how I would go about attacking it. And just taking a Google, copy pasting this in a Google Doc, and just having a couple work sessions, gathering feedback, writing a few things out, what they would imply, what they mean. That probably takes you a good step forward. But yeah, it would be very good to have input from multiple people on that process, and then picking up individual tasks that can be done by one or two people or whatever's helpful.
That sounds like a good way to tackle it.
Yeah, but Bosch, Doc Sharp, he really put a lot of stuff in there. But also stuff like Bitcoin only. I think that's kind of obvious. Mobile first, we kind of already have that. Collaborative custody, we kind of have that. Actually, I think I put a response here. I think the current page already covers the first 9 points.
Yeah, I don't think all of those points need to like elaboration, but yeah, I think that's why maybe a separate doc is maybe useful to just collapse sections, expand on other sections, see how it overlaps with what we currently have, and then use that as a foundation.
Yeah, and you know how with the merchant section, we're currently having these calls where we review different products. We could do something similar here, where we just have a call to just look at some multi-sig applications and discuss how it works and all that, and that kind of a research process, which will then provide the material to create the page content more easily. That's also an option.
And then we set up like a weekly or a bi-weekly.
I mean, I would just use these calls here, and then these calls are meant as just anything related to the guide. But if there's a working group, if some people just want to meet every day for 10 hours, that's fine too, right? It's up to everyone too. We can be really flexible. It's whatever we want it to be, right? We have that flexibility, whatever we need.
Cool. And that sounds like a plan. I like it.
Okay, awesome. That is a big step. Shall we tackle the savings wallet revision?
One thing maybe that I can comment on, what I really like about is the wallet design blocks approach. They start off by saying what are the principles, and they use those principles as guiding, as a guide to making decisions. Like you always measure it against what those principles are, which is a nice way to actually tackle it.
Yep, that is excellent. Yeah, Mo, you ready to do some user testing on the savings wallet and multi-sig? I'm pretty sure pretty much all multi-sig user tests will be, I don't get it.
Okay, so user testing. So the prototype's ready.
No, I'm just kidding. Just saying that if we exactly, if we want to do some research, we could also do user testing, either initially existing products or things that we come up with that we think would improve things, or anything else. I personally still have a hard time with multi-sig wallets, but just me.
Multi-sig is a thing. That's really a good one that you mentioned, Christoph, because I think one of the feedback, some of the feedback we got about the guide as well was that people would love to see more multi-sig stuff. So
Yeah.
maybe if we start to do some of those calls like what Steven did on multi-sig wallets, or I don't know, user test some, I guess we could start from somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you have? I mean,
Yeah,
I
so I'm
don't.
wondering.
Go ahead.
No, go for it, Christoph.
I was going to ask if you have experience using multi-sig. I know, Mo, you have.
One time.
Yeah. If you've actually
Yeah, I've
practically
got a
had to
little bit.
use it for something.
Yeah, I've got a bit of experience, but I won't say a ton.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, like, how much of the multi-sig complexity can be hidden, so that the person doesn't actually have to deal with that. I'm not sure. We'll have to see.
Yeah. I mean, so let me just pull something up here.
Does this concept of a multi-sig need to be explicit, and how explicit, if not, how explicit does it need to be?
Yeah. So here's something I did a couple of years ago, and in here it was basic. I just called it a shared wallet, which the multi-sig itself is kind of a tricky term. And then if you create a shared wallet, it asks you, how many signers do you want to have in there? And it talks about owners. It's you and one additional owner. A signer is another person that will hold one key of your new wallet. And the mechanism here is the same as if you set up your personal multi-sig. But then you will be the owner and there will be all the keys. Like a multi-sig that you set up for your own devices is technically the same as a multi-sig that several people share. But in terms of phrasing it for the user, it's very different. And then it says, each cosigner needs to create a key on their device. And then who is cosigner 1 and cosigner 2? And then share your key store with the other two cosigners. Like when you create a multi-sig that's meant for multiple people, you can directly put that into the experience because there's communication happening between people, and it is an understanding like, hey, send this to this other person. And that's different than if I set up my own personal multi-sig just for myself. Then it's like, oh, get your own device from over there, or and plug it in. So I think the focus does not have to be on the technical stuff. It can be on the workflow process and maybe the relationships, the human interaction that's happening.
Yeah, conception. There's a lot of concepts that we're using that might be foreign to people.
Yeah,
That's we rephrase in a way that they understand it. Like, how does this map with what they currently understand and know? Like a key store. Like, I don't know if people understand what a key store is.
totally.
Or a cosigner.
Yeah, that's why from like if you draw an arrow here, it has to be a linear story that it introduces people through all of these steps to all of the terms and at the right time, so they understand what these things are and why they matter. So it's like you tell a story. It's like you tell a story. You don't start using a name of the character before you've even introduced them.
Yeah, completely. This is a great place to start as well. Why don't you maybe share this? Maybe add it in the doc, share it here. Or...
Yeah, I mean that's just in the regular Bitcoin UI kit file.
Okay.
You can grab from the website as well.
Oh, that's fine. I'll find it there then.
So Christoph, we already have these multi-sig designs in the UI kit, but then we don't have actually multi-sig stuff in the guide, if I understand correctly.
No, we have the savings wallet in the. We have the savings
multi-key.
wallet here. So this is the version 2. The first version was done by Daniel, which was a bit more of a black and white wireframe. Then I did the second revision, which was added a lot, good amount, and it focused on, like, there are certain things I just didn't focus on at the time. And now it's time to do, just like we did with the daily spending wallet, to do another revision. And I think this one is, I think it's just focused on personal multi-sig. It is not on a shared, like maybe we need to look at this. Maybe this is the one we're looking for, shared wallet.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
Maybe this is the one we're updating. Create your key, invite your account holder. Invite account holder. That's
Okay. So can the savings wallet not be a shared wallet?
As it is right now, the savings wallet is a personal multi-sig, not a shared or collaborative multi-sig.
Okay.
So that actually makes it kind of easier, because then we can kind of leave the savings wallet a little bit as it is, and then we can just take this one, which is mostly wireframes, and just focus on just that experience, maybe, like that communication, that collaborative setup. That could be, that's one option, right?
Yep, I like it.
No, go ahead.
No, I just I like that. That's cool.
Christoph, a personal multi-sig would be a personal wallet that has like 3 or 4 different signing devices. Is that correct?
Yeah, in the current savings wallet, it's you have your phone and you have one hardware wallet. So those are 2 keys. And the third key is held by a service provider. So when you make a small transaction, they automatically sign it, like, okay, it's cool, small transaction, we'll let it go through. You don't have to get your hardware wallet out. But if you want to make a big one, then you need to get your own hardware wallet. And if they go away, it's fine. You still have the 2 of the keys. Or if you lose your hardware wallet, they can help you recover it and set up a new one. There's a technique. So right now, the way it works, if you lose a key, you need to completely set up a new wallet and move your funds from the old wallet to the new one, right? That's just how it is. Like, keys gone, cannot be recovered, impossible. But there's a technique called Frost, and it allows you to add in a new key without creating a new wallet. It's like you ditch one, you put in another one in, everyone's happy with it, right? Without having to move your funds from one wallet to the next one. So I remember someone asked for this a while back, that this is a really cool thing. And I think it's also listed in that page, in that discussion page. It's called Frost. Yeah, here, Moneyball, Frost benefits, improved privacy, off-chain key rotation. Yeah. So just introducing, looking into Frost and ways to add that in could be one option. But I think if we look at if you look at this one option would be simply update the visuals to match the UI key. That could be just one thing. Another thing could be just look at Frost. But actually, once you update those visuals, you might realize there are certain gaps that can be filled in. But that could be just one thing. Another one could be looking into just the communication part between multiple members and how that could happen. Like how to phrase things properly, avoiding terms like key store, these things. Another one could be just looking at how introducing Frost could allow for this key rotation and make that smoother and improve privacy. I think we could identify some sub-buckets there.
I was going to use the word buckets as well. I feel like there's a few buckets with this, and we can maybe just tackle one at a time, because it feels like if we go for all of them, it's, Hey, Johns.
Hey, Johns.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. But I mean, this multi-sig stuff, it has a good amount of complexity. So just as a heads up, It's a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is I feel like I could only really fully understand it if I'm going researcher now, because if I was actually playing with a multi-sig with a few people and trying to sign stuff together and really understanding the user flows, understanding who needs to click where, because to just understand it from reading it seems a bit it's too far away from the product for me to really understand. But maybe I should just play with the multi-sig that I have at the moment, the one we used for the design-a-thon. Johns would like to say something.
It's muted. Doesn't want to say anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should I don't know where the personas is in the discussions, but I'm happy to talk about that a bit when you guys, if it's
Okay. Okay. Let's wrap it up real quick. So does that sound like a good idea? Where instead of the full savings wallet, we're going to look at the shared stuff, and then
that's
try
good.
to see what we can bucket
yeah.
there and narrow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just have one last comment. So now that we have merged that piece into the savings wallet, there's obviously a lot of conversations that happened around the PIN step within the wallet recovery process. And I've copied all of those Slack conversations we had into that document just so we have it, because otherwise it's going to go away. And I want to see how we could potentially document the reasoning or the thoughts that has gone into where we kind of landed with that part of the savings wallet. So I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that. I was thinking, John's left now, but he previously suggested we document some of these things on bolt.fun as well. But yeah, I'm not sure what anyone else's thoughts are.
Okay. So, for example, Mo has a separate Notion setup. I know John's also had a separate GitHub where he had that he also extensively used for his research, which is like in a way, we have all these Google Docs and stuff, and at the end something goes into the guide. But the material behind that can also be super interesting and helpful. Some of these things, we put on YouTube as videos, and other things live in people's personal places, and other ones just get lost in the GitHub Docs black hole. So yeah, I think it's a good idea to document some of these and reference back to them. Maybe if you feel like, just like Mo and John's, if you feel like you want to set up your own archive for you personally, that's totally cool. Otherwise, I don't know. What do you think? How's it working out for you, Mo and John's? With your personal archives and workspaces.
I'm moving everything over to Nostr now, right? So it's all the hype, right? No, I think at the moment, I have like a bunch of readmes. Sorry, not readmes. Like I use this app called Obsidian. I use it to take notes in Markdown because I prefer having it in a format that's kind of like easy to copy and paste into like the Jekyll guide repository. So I've always been kind of using some Markdown editor. But recently, a lot of using the Notes app with dictation to write things out. Like just get thoughts out and stuff, and at least have them down, and then I would copy them into there. And when they're ready, like post them wherever they have to get posted.
I mean, Notes is not accessible for anyone else. That's the thing with GitHub. It feels like it's going to be there forever in a way, and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. So the great thing about GitHub is that it's you just have, so like Obsidian I have there, right? So it's the Markdown editor. It's on the desktop. Before I use HackMD, but you sometimes you're not online, those kind of things. Obsidian is a file, like a folder on your computer. Has nice, you could drop images in. It's gonna put it in the folder and all that for you. And then you could just commit that to a Git repository. And then if you wanted to, you could use like GitHub Pages, and then they'll spin up a website for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obsidian's pretty cool because I used to use it a while back, because if you type in a certain term, you can link that term, so you can find every single thought that you had about that term, and it'll just take you to every page. They call it a second brain. Some of the people who love that kind of stuff, they call it your second brain. So it's interesting that you're using it, Johns. I use it for a while, and then I just leaned more towards something else. So yeah, everyone works better in a different tool, I guess.
Yeah, but that's I think that's the thing, right? Both of you have found tools that you personally are very comfortable with, because these are, and with and Stain, I'm not sure if that was your question, whether you should just keep a personal archive that's somewhere publicly available, or whether we have some type of messy group community archive.
No, it was more. It was more a case of how do we gather all of this information that we kind of add in Slack.
Yeah.
How do we put it in a place where everyone can see what the rational thinking was behind our kind of decisions? Because otherwise, you see a very abstracted level of information on the guide, but people don't know how we actually got there. And then we have this conversation again in 6 months' time again. So that was kind of why I was referring to what John's previously suggested. Like, could we potentially document some of these things on Bolt.fun? But the GitHub idea is also interesting. I think that could also work. Maybe just on the issue.
Well, sorry. Finish your thought and I'll jump in after. Sorry.
No, that was pretty much it.
Yeah, the Bolt Fund stuff that I was telling you about was the 100 Days of Bitcoin thing, where you can post what you're learning and stuff along the way there. Yeah, so I think I told you guys about that campaign. We're trying to get more people to write about their journey into learning or exploring about Bitcoin. Soon to be on Nostr also.
So it seems to me like the best place is possibly just on GitHub. Just gather all of that information there.
I'm going to share from personal experience, because I've hopped from various tools, and I think in my messiness I learned a lot, and making mistakes. I started off working in GitHub, and then I shared it with Johns, I shared it with Christoph. It turns out I'm not like a GitHub person. Then I moved to just working in Google Docs, and then that also didn't work. And then I switched over to Notion. Notion helps me in two ways. I create a page, and then I sublink all the Google documents. It's like every single Google document that has to do with that project goes in that page. But then I also help it to track project management stuff. So I have this whole to-do list in Notion, and every day when I arrive at my desk, I'm just like, what do I need to do today? And then I just check what's going on in Notion. So I guess it depends on what's for me personally, it was almost like which tool suits my personality and me better, and what suits me might not suit you, might not suit John's, might not suit Christoph, and it's a really personal thing. Yeah.
I mean, I have my whole YouTube channel where I post all these video summaries, because they allow me to talk through things in a way. To point at things, show them, and talk through them, which is just very dense information there in a short amount of time with very little consumer effort. So I like that format. So as you can see, between the three of us, there are a lot of differences. But yeah, I think it's an excellent idea to document the process and the behind the scenes and make it accessible. I do not think it has to be some format that everyone agrees upon. I would really just pick something that works for you, where it doesn't take a lot of extra time.
Yeah,
would it make sense to document it on the specific issue that I worked on? For example, the one that just got merged. Like, do people refer back to that?
Yeah, we do that, for example, with
even if it's just-
collaborations in the Meta repository. Just kind of paste in notes as we go. Yeah, that would work.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll give it a shot, and then we can see how it goes.
Yeah, it also depends on how much material it is. Is it like 10 pages of dense text and visuals, or is it more like 3 paragraphs?
Exactly. Cool.
Okay,
Happy
cool.
to move on.
Yeah, Yashraj had to.
He jumped off, but
BRB.
if he doesn't jump on, I'm happy to update as well on his side.
Okay.
If he doesn't jump off.
Okay, cool. Right, Mo, did you wanted to talk about the personas? You and I, we had a work session where we put things into a PR, but we need to export the images and get that live and ready for in a reviewable state. So that's where that is, right?
You said it exactly, Christoph. It's basically, I'll do a really quick screen share here of where we are. So we basically created this, I'll just launch the preview here. So we've put this up basically. This is literally just taking everything over from the Google document. And now the additional part that we have to figure out is under each one of these personas, there's a user journey, which is at the moment looking like this one here. So these are the images from Patricia, which exist externally. So I guess we kind of have to decide whether we would like to, mock up these images and actually add in an image underneath every single persona, or whether we want to link out to individual images. So that's a little bit of where we are. And then it's just adding in any images that are here. There's only one image here. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty much deciding what we do with these ones.
Yeah, I think it could be nice to have profiles of those people. You know, it just makes it more human. And then potentially we could also later in the rest of the guide, let's say one of these personas is all about multi-sig or something, then we can reference, maybe we can even reuse that face in that persona somewhere. I think it would be nice. But yeah, basically image work. But and I think you mentioned that another workshop would be good to do this together.
Yeah, I think this would be good to do together. And now when I look at this Bitcoin journey, this is actually not this is not a traditional user journey map that we're looking at here. This is actually this is not about a user interface. This is about their personal journey, understanding Bitcoin. And there's actually some overlaps actually, because the goals of the person, we might have even already included it here in, what was their use case. We've already included some of that stuff here. So, I think maybe what I need to do is see what repetition there is. I think that there's some overlap and content that's being repeated here that's already here.
Yeah.
It's my feeling.
Another option that we could do is we could recreate these personas in Figma, these journey maps, and then make them available. So other people, they could simply duplicate them, change some text around for their own persona development, that they would have a ready template with real content that they could base their own work from. Would be a little bit of work, but I don't think it's too crazy.
No, I mean, I already have a user journey map for the UX Research Toolkit, so I could slightly modify it. And then, have you take with your UII, have a look at that, tweak it a bit. And then, as you said, so you kind of have the idea of adding them in as images under each one, and then linking out and saying, hey, if you want to do this, here's a file that you can work in.
Yeah, let's start simple with images. Let's get this ready and live, and then we can iteratively improve things.
Yeah, sounds good.
Like 2 years after the research was released, to finally have it in the guide.
I think for me, next step is I look at those images that Patricia has. I will see where there's a duplication of information that's already existing on the text in the guide, and then I'll just cross those out, and then I'll draw up a new user journey
Mm-hmm.
based off of that.
Awesome.
Maybe we don't even want to remove what Patricia included. Maybe it gives the fuller picture if we include everything.
Let's just put it in there, keep it simple, make the page look nice, add those images in, and get it live, and we can always iterate it once we kind of see how the whole thing comes together.
I think keep to what the images that Patricia has, recreate them, and as you said, just throw the images in. Yeah, cool.
Okay, hold on. I need to go back to stuff here. Let's take a look. Here we are. Okay, Steven's not here. Yashra's not here. So I think Steven has had a draft. I don't know if he's worked on it since. And Yashraj has made progress with a spaced repetition, and I think also with page join. With spaced repetition, him and I have been chatting, and he's currently trying to figure out how to. We figured out where it should go in the guide, and he's just looking into how to get the images in there and what format they should be. So I think that should be done pretty soon. Maybe him and I also need to do another work session or so. We'll see. And you discussed page joins with him?
Yeah, I'll in terms of page joins, let me see. I'll do a quick. Let me just look at this here. So Yashraj and I have been working together. We have a working session, I think Thursday or Friday this week. He's recreated some user flows. Let me just share my screen very quickly here. He's recreated some user flows for page joins. So we kind of trying to work roughly from some sort of timeline over here, refining content.
Mm-hmm.
So we had this flow diagram here, and he had his original write-up. He now iterated on his flow diagram, which we would include in the write-up. So I guess this might be the new one. I'm not actually sure if this is the updated one, but I had a look at it. I added in some comments. He's now shared with me an updated version, which I think is not in this file. No, it's not this one. And then he's actually already done a bit of a write-up, which he shared as well here. So he's already has a case study document, which I guess we can all maybe have a look at and give him some feedback. That's something that needs to.
Oh yeah, this is this, but this is not. Is this the case study, or was that because I know him and Dan had this super long, highly technical write-up where that was really more kind of a how it works type of thing, and the case study is then a little bit more UI focused.
Yeah, so this is the original write-up. I think this one is like, I don't know how many pages long. This is 10 pages long, the original write-up that him and Dan worked together. And then it seems this is a new document, which is called case study. This one seems to be, I shared with him the case study guidelines Google Doc, and he's kind of worked from there. So, yeah.
That's also 10 pages.
Is this 10 pages?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is 10 pages. Yeah, we're going to really have to refine this content and bring it down to a case study. Yeah, I haven't had a look at this.
This is great if we can split it up into the user experience page and the how it works page, like we've done with various other things.
Yeah, so you feel there's a how it works in here, and then there's a stuff on the UI side. Yeah, it's quite a bit in here. Yeah, so that's basically where we're at with the. We have a working session this week, so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Maybe he'll still join in the next 15 minutes or so. We'll see. Yeah. I don't know. Anything else going on otherwise in the guide? Anything you'd like to chat about? I was something I put in the newsletter was whether we should have this tipping with lightning interaction, which seems to keep coming up. Let me pull that up. Yeah, Bold Fun tackled that one. OG. Damus is trying to figure out how to.
I heard there's going to be a spec for it within Oster as well, so that's going to be interesting. If this gets standardized in these different applications that
But-
people are making.
This is a technical spec, just how the connection works, not how the interface works. Right?
Yeah, exactly. But these things they kind of go hand in hand sometimes, right?
Yeah, they can.
Constraints, for instance. Yeah. Like how much can you rely on it? Has it been proved?
Yeah.
How do you show that like something was actually paid?
Yeah. You can't talk for 10 minutes these days without the word Noster coming up.
Hey, you have the record on the last community call, so I'm just trying to catch up. But I mean, I think if it's like it's content sites that tipping is gonna come up in, right? Or like some video interaction or something. Well,
I don't know. It could be micropayments. Could be. I don't know.
yeah, but it will always exist in a social context.
Well, I think the unique thing about tipping is that there's no set number. If there's an exchange of goods and services, there's a fixed thing. Like you get this thing, you give me X. With tipping, it's just whatever you want, right? And that's what kind of makes the interaction more tricky, because you want it to be super easy and frictionless, so people do it. But there's also this open-ended amount in there, and also that there's no direct relation. I'm just sending you stuff. If there's a payment merchant type of situation, it's always very clear who's participating, and both people are aware of it in a way and agreeing to it.
I guess that also falls into kind of like is this like should we have something about values for value in the guide then, because it's kind of like loosely linked to that as well. Like the thing that you're exchanging is like money for, like, you're not exchanging, but you're getting something, which is like this great piece of content or these awesome YouTube videos that you're publishing for free, and then you'll be like, oh, let me show my appreciation. I received some value. Let me post it back.
There could be a discussion point there too. But Yashar's back. How's it going? Can you earlier, I think you just wanted to listen. Listen equals 1 PRB. If you can chat now, we can talk about the page joins and spaced repetition. If you cannot chat, then we'll just talk about something else. So just let us know. We cannot hear you in case you're saying something. Okay. Maybe not. Anyone? No. Can't hear you. If you're saying stuff and we can't hear you, then you might need to rejoin, Jitsi.
Stan, are you going to be doing some stuff related to multi-sigs, from what I gathered?
Yeah, so we discussed that we could move over to the shared wallet, but I don't have too much context on the shared wallet, so I need to dig into that a bit.
Okay, gotcha. Chris, the basis of that is going to be Frost?
It can be. It's something to investigate. So yeah, it would be. Let's say 5 of us here. We have a shared wallet. one person loses their key, how we can get them a new one without everyone having to, create new keys and set up a new wallet. It would be just that one person would get a new one, and we would all agree, like, yes, we accept your new key into our setup, something like that. And it would be mostly the communication probably around that. Also thinking through security and how to get everyone to approve and be okay with things.
So is that similar to like a social recovery? No, that's different from social recovery that Block is referring to. They use email and mobile number.
There might be some overlaps with the stuff that Dan and Yashraj is doing with PayJoins, because there's the coordinating component of coordinating on a PSBT or a transaction file or whatever that comes into play. In PayJoin, it might just be 2 people, but a multisig could also just be 2 people as well. But there's some coordination there going on.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing to think through. There are services like Nunchak, they provide their own server that the communication goes through, but you don't necessarily need to. You could send stuff over iMessage, you could print it, send it by mail, whatever you want. Why are you laughing, Jones?
Yeah, I'm waiting to hear it.
Oh, no, I'm not going to mention it. But that's, yeah.
Shall we try to have a call and put that word at the top and say no use of this word and see if anyone might survive?
No, that would be against free speech, so can't do that.
That's true. That's a good one. Quick question. With regards to creating the images, the Figma images for the user flows, I know that when I was working with Stephen for one of the last pages that we put in together, he really pointed out that images for the guide, the mobile version really needs to be able to be very vertical, and the desktop version can be horizontal. So it feels like I'd have to create these user flows in horizontal versions for desktop and vertical versions for mobile.
Yes, that is ideal, because as you know, if you just have like the super wide image, you pull it up on your phone, you can't even see anything. So it is a service to the reader to provide them in 2 versions where they can conveniently see the content without having to zoom in
Gotcha.
or mess
Okay.
with things. Yeah.
I'll give it a shot.
It's a little bit tricky with these user journeys, because anything table-based is kind of tricky. One option would be just kind of segment things underneath each other, if that's possible. But yeah, tables are generally tricky to convert from desktop to mobile.
Yeah, I'll play around with some ideas and share them with you.
Cool. But very first version it's fine. We could also add it later. It's not a huge deal for a first live version. I think Jones looks disappointed here because the word was not mentioned.
Nostrich.
Okay, good.
He's back.
Okay, cool. I mean, we have a few minutes here. If I don't think we're talking about anything super important here, you can just chit chat. Anything you'd personally like to talk about, share, stories, any questions you have, anything you'd like to share with the YouTube audience later once it's uploaded. You want to show your
there,
fans,
YouTube.
or...
Remember to smash the bell button and hit the like button and subscribe to get the notifications in your inbox or something like that. Because, fun fact, did you know that only 100% of people subscribe to Christoph, you have to like sign off like that, you have to do the sign off.
Something
we could wrap off, like wrap as in like I start a sentence and then Christoph, no, I'm getting really playful here. Christoph cringed. I saw him cringe. That was hilarious. We'll save that for the events.
Let me get a beer
Fol-
first.
Follow me on Noster at NPUB 1568A5257.
Okay.
Damn, I forgot this.
Here, YouTube guys, this is what happens to the brain after working for a while on highly technical stuff. But we all are passionate. We all love Bitcoin, and this is what you get after a while.
Exactly. Brain capacity is used up, and then you just kind of get this random stuff coming out. Okay, cool. Then I'm gonna stop the recording here. Thank you all, and we'll keep talking nonsense after I stop here. So thanks all for tuning in.